understand the beer's low already, so, oh boy. Okay. We'd like to, first of all, thank you for coming. This is a really big day for us, as you know, and we're really grateful to have you all as friends. These 50 years, has been quite a journey for us. A journey with many trials, many blessings, and many bumps in the road, as they say. But you know, right, it's for better or for worse, right? And we've had both, right? Exactly. This week, in my prayer time, I was reminded of the importance of friends and family to encourage you along the road, along the journey, and you know, especially in those bumps in the road, encouraging through them. And I can think of so many cases where many of you were involved in helping us get through those bumps, small and large. And also in the blessings and sharing, like for example, my family here with our friends and so on. I'm just so thankful for you. And there, you know, when Tom and I were doing the party list, I kind of got carried away. I created the list and then I saw the contract that said there were 66 chairs. Well, we invited and had a response from 80 people. So what are we going to do? So if somebody comes in and needs a chair, would you share it with them? Yeah. I just want to thank you all for being in our lives. Without you, life wouldn't be the same. As I said, you've encouraged us. You've supported us, you've shared our blessings with us, and you've taught us. Each one of you, you know, when you meet somebody, you learn something from them about their life, and they share it with you, and you become a better person for that. So really, this party's for Tom and I, but it's really for you. To thank you for we have such gratitude for you being in our lives. And of course, I have to thank Tom for being my friend and partner through 50 years. So thank you all for being here.
When I hear that, I always think of a line from a guy named Dave Ramsey. Anybody know who he is? The personal finance guy. We heard him talk sometimes, and it was his 25th anniversary. And he said, you know what that is? That's 10 good years. And every married person in the room laughed because they understand. Linda's my greatest friend. And yet, marriage is unique. It's a partnership unlike any other. I've never had a friend that I had to share a checkbook with. I've never had a friend where I had to plan to be with his mother-in-law or my mother-in-law. This is a unique thing. And so the fact is, it's such a challenge, and yet it's been the most rewarding thing that I've ever experienced, and I'm so grateful for it. But it's not easy. As a matter of fact, we have several members of the clergy here who have already affirmed to me that the Vatican has found out that Linda's been married to me for 50 years, and they've officially declared it a miracle. And so we're really excited about that. Her sainthood is still pending. They say that she has a very good case to make, and the longer she's there to suffer with me, the better the case will be. So we're really excited about it. But as you know, marriage is in stages, and we have different challenges at different times. When you first get married, you first court, it's all romance. And we think that's going to last forever, and of course, later on we learn better. But then the next stage is parenting. And again, that brings a whole different set of challenges. And now we're in the third stage. and that's when you check about your spouse and whether they've taken their medication today. It's a progression, but each one has its own set of challenges and special blessings. One of the things that I learned too is that marriage is never static. So it seemed as though we got married just about the time that all of the rules of marriage were getting changed. So the day that I got married, you were a bum if you didn't open the door for a woman. And the day after I got married, you were a bum if you did. But I had to learn about the rules committee too. I realized that women had kind of an intuitive sense of what to do and what didn't, that I often lacked. And I learned eventually a couple things. First of all, the rules changed, and I was not on the rules committee. But I was married to someone who could kind of straighten me out. Eventually, I learned some of the most important words in the English language. Yes, dear. And I learned that one of the rarest words in marriage is I agree. So all in all, we came to learn a lot about each other. So some people say that marriage is like a university from which you never graduate, and I really agree. I've been in the University of Linda for 50 years. I've never been expelled, but I've been on probation numerous times. I was held back 12 years. I'm married to the dean and principal instructor. She's a very tough grader, but all in all, I'm just glad that she's retained me all these years. And it's tough, but being in the University of Linda, but one of the great things is I get to sleep with the faculty. So anyway, I made a major mistake. I had something of an athletic career when I was young, and so I was used to winning. But one of the things that I learned is in marriage, you never win an argument. So I've gone 50 years without winning an argument, but I still feel really good about it.
That's good.
Now, in times like this, people usually just want to dwell on the positive, but I feel I need to be honest with you and share some of the things that I hate. And again, the first thing would be Linda is constantly happy and positive. She even, believe it or not, she laughs in her sleep. Honestly. So, there's certain times as a person, just talking for me, I kind of want to wallow in depression and stuff like that. And she just spoils it. Early on when I was in graduate school, I remember she told me to keep all my psychology stuff for school and quit when I came home. But so one time I came home and I was just complaining. Finally she said, "Go ahead, treat yourself to a good fit of depression." It deflated me, So the bottom line is, when you're married to somebody like this, it's really hard to look good. I do my best. Linda mentioned it already, but over time, our spiritual life has been a tremendous source of solace in prayer. And I can think of actually a good number of times, especially early on when we got married, when we might have one of those brief spats that might last days. But I'm sure none of you have ever experienced that.
No.
But there at Mass, I would be struck by the words of Jesus when he said, if you have a grudge with your neighbor, first go and settle that before you go to the altar. And there were times that really sustained us. So more and more over time, our marriages become more spiritually oriented. And, I don't think people should ever underestimate the power of prayer. The other thing is, I finally figured out what my job was as a man. I actually have a job description. The job description, I had one for Linda for years, which was she was supposed to make me happy. So eventually I figured out this really doesn't work. So eventually what I figured out is my job was to love her the way she deserves to be loved, the way that God loves me. And that means he doesn't crab at her, he doesn't crab at me. He loves me even when I don't deserve it. So, I mean, that was a personal transformation for me. I really realized that I needed to work on being a good husband. That was really the issue. So I finally came up with a job description. I mean, how do you love someone the way they deserve to be loved? And this is what I found. If I can try to do this on a daily basis, maybe I can be a little better husband. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. Love is not pompous. It's not inflated. It's not rude. It does not seek its own interests. It's not quick-tempered. Not that I've ever shown any of those traits. It does not brood over injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things. Love never fails. So that's my job description. I still have a lot of work to do. But again, you can't ignore the differences too. In my opinion, there's times that you just need to learn how to peaceably duke it out. I don't know how else to say that. And remember, if both of you are identical, one of you is unnecessary. We found each other to be very necessary. So there were a couple principles that we worked on early on. Like I said, the rules were changing early on in our marriage. And the first one was I really wanted to be a strong husband, a strong leader. So I decided that I would make all the big decisions and Linda could make all the small decisions. It seemed like a wise strategy. But actually nothing big has ever come up. But I'm ready when it does. Finally, there was a secret recording that never made it into scripture, but perhaps should have. And this was a dialogue between Adam and God. And it was about Eve and about marriage. And so I just wanted to share it with you today. So Adam was talking to God one day, and so he says, you know, Eve is so beautiful. I love her. She's so gorgeous. And it makes me feel so good. And so God says to him, you know, I'm glad that you recognize that. I put tremendous effort into creating Eve. People oftentimes don't recognize it. So thank you, Adam, for acknowledging that. And then Adam says, you know, there's another thing too. She's a tremendous cook. So I love her cooking. I love how she cleans my clothing. Of course, I can identify with all these things. It's all true of women. But then there's a part of us that we don't understand the other. Men don't understand women, and women don't understand men. So finally, Adam gets up the courage and he says, but, you know, this is kind of between you and me. But sometimes in the way I look at things, she seems so dumb. I don't understand that at all. And so finally, God said, oh man, that's the easiest one of all. You see, when I created Eve, I didn't want just someone that you could love. I wanted someone who could love you too. So that kind of explains why we've gotten along so well. I finally figured out there was some of that. So, Linda, again, thank you for marrying me in 50 glorious years.
Are you ready?
No. Is the camera on?
I said, you want me to read?
Yes.
My name is?
Well, or just say it.
Okay, hi, my name is Lisa, and I am Linda's sister. Hi, Linda. Hi, Tom.
Hi, my name is Julie. I am Linda and Tom's niece.
My name is Lisa Cusano, and I am Tom and Linda's daughter.
My name is Diego. I'm Tom and Linda's son-in-law.
My name is Nico, and I am Tom and Linda's grandson.
My name is Katie Rini, and I am Tom and Linda's niece.
My name is Ted Rini. I am Tom and Linda's. I am Aunt Linda's and Uncle Tom's great grandson. I'm a grandson, nephew. I am a good nephew.
My name is Ted Rini Jr. I am Uncle Tom and Aunt Linda's favorite nephew-in-law.
My name is David Lynn.
Hi, my name is Mike. I am Tom and Linda's son.
Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I am Tom and Linda's daughter-in-law.
My name is Ben Spudik, and I am Tom and Linda's grandson.
My name is Delaney, and I am Tom and Linda's granddaughter.
I'm Dorothy Huesline, and I'm Tom and Linda's mom.
My favorite memory of them is going to the beach during spring break with them in Florida.
My favorite memory of them was when we went tubing today. It was very fun, and I really liked it. And I saw some fish. The current was strong, and it was cold. And right when we got in, I jumped right in. And I should have put my feet out the tube, but pretty much my whole body was in the water. I was freezing cold. But it was so much fun. And actually, the ride was 5 minutes to get back to the spot. The current wasn't too strong. It was strong, but not as strong as I thought. But it was very, very fun. That's a memory that'll last a lifetime.
My favorite memory of them is when I went to Universal Studios. My grandpa wasn't there, but my grandma was. And we ended up going to most of the theme parks. My grandma could only ride on the really slow ones, so when we went on the 3D ride, it was a little bit ridiculous because she had to close her eyes all the time. In the end, we did get a lot of candy. My brother got a giant chocolate frog and a chocolate wand. We had a lot of fun, and we went on the Hogwarts Express and went to the other side of the park. It took a while to get back to the parking lot, but it was fun in the end.
My favorite memory of them is, my favorite memory of Nini is when we do a lot of crafts together because that's really fun. And she has so many cool crafts to do, a lot of supplies. And my favorite memory of Pa is when we play chess, but I don't know the rules, so I just do something and I call it Delaney rules, like I just cheat. And he just, he doesn't care. Yeah. They're very nice.
I like Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom because they're very nice.
Nico's birth, they came up to New York to help us and visit, and it didn't happen. They came out twice. But the first time that they came, we were on the way to the hospital with under false labor, and the cat escaped, and Tom ran after the cat. And I have never seen the cat scratch anybody, but the cat scratched Tom in the face from side to side twice, and I was very scary, so I asked Tom if he was okay. And he says, no, he's nothing. And he had blood dropping out of his face from the side. And he says he was fine. And then I think they left that afternoon because that didn't happen. And as soon as they left, it happened. And okay, that's the story.
I've been married to Mike for 16 years, and my favorite memory of them would be just visiting Atlanta, going to the aquariums, and then also going to the beach every spring break for the past, I want to say 3 or 4, no, actually longer than that. Delaney was a baby. We went to Amelia Island and met them. And then the past couple of years we went to Seaside, Florida, and always had such a good trip. And the kids and Mike and I always look forward to those visits every year. So happy 50th.
I guess I wanted to say that I feel like I learned the most from Aunt Linda about how to be an aunt that is caring and attentive and just really present. I feel like every time that I'm with Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom and we're talking, they just love to, or they just make me feel so loved, and they make me feel so like that they're just invested in what I have to say and who I am and everything that goes along with that. And I appreciate that they were always very present with me in whenever we're together, and then just cherish that. That's such a great quality to have. And so I hope that I am able to fulfill that same kind of need with my nieces and nephews, and I'm really appreciative of that. One of my early scary memories of Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom is their basement. We didn't have a basement, and their basement with the wrestling mat, and it just was dark, was just always so scary to me in Connecticut. And so whenever I think of like scary things from childhood, I think of Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom's basement. Happy anniversary, you guys.
And my favorite memory of them is love going to Connecticut to visit with them. Always thought it was so cool to be up north and out of the south with no humidity and walking up and down the hills. Never walking hills with it being flat everywhere. I thought it was the coolest thing. Love y'all. Love y'all.
And my story is not about Dad, it is about Mom, and it is the story of the Barbie fashion plates. When I was little, we had a kitten. The kitten was named Patches, and Patches was so cute and fluffy, and I just wanted to hold him and love him and cuddle him forever. But when I would do that, he would scratch my hands all the time. So I had scratches on my hands all the time, and Mom said that if I got rid of the scratches on my hand, then I could have the fashion Barbie plates. Well, I got rid of the scratches on my hand, but the Barbie fashion plates never came. Luckily, at 46 years of age, I have let this go.
I have a few memories of Mr. Tom and Aunt Linda. Thankfully, I've been able to come and visit them several times since I've been married to Katie, which is their niece. And but I feel that he's given me several funny stories to go by of different little jokes or whatever to do with marriage. But I feel like he's given me such good advice and good guidance of how to be a good father and a great husband. Just watching him, how strong he is, and how intelligent and smart and wise. And I just appreciate all the different stories that he told me. Almost every time when I come in to Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom, they have a list of things to do, whether it's change the curtains, go pick up a sofa, and or cook. And I just appreciate all the advice that he's given me on how to be a great husband to my wife, and a person I can look up to and I appreciate, and I see the love that he has for his wife and his family, and I hope that I can be half the man that he is. Thank you.
I was telling the other kids a story about Linda and Tom the day before they were married. Tom was staying in Cold Spring Harbor at our house, and they were going to be married over there in the Catholic Church, and the phone rang, and this gruff voice says, "Tom Spodek there?" I said, "No, he's not here. Can I take a message?" And he said, This is recruiting officer, and he has to be in St. Louis tomorrow. I said, I'll give him the message, but he can't be in St. Louis tomorrow. He's getting married tomorrow. So when Tom came home from work, he called his recruiting officer, and I don't know what that conversation they had, but it ended up Tom and Linda did not go on a honeymoon to Bermuda, as was all planned. They went to St. Louis on their wedding night, and Tom ended up in the Army the day after he was married.
Awesome.
It was.
And I want to talk about the memories and the different places you take me. Because when I think of when I first met Tom, or the early years with Tom, I remember him riding his bike all over Huntington and to get to work, and that was his mode of transportation. But I was just always impressed on the miles that he rode on his bike. And then I think about your wedding, and I can still picture myself walking on that summer day on the grass lawn in front of our house. And don't tell Mom and Dad, but it was probably the first time I ever drank alcohol. And Tom and Linda's friends, I don't remember which ones, were giving me gin and tonics. No lime, so no one ever knew that I was really drinking alcohol. And then I remember being in my dorm room in Boston College when Linda called me and told me that she was pregnant with Lisa, or I guess maybe she told me that Lisa was born at that time and that her name was Lisa, which just always meant so much to me that you gave me that honor. Then when I keep thinking, I think about Carbondale, driving or taking the train, going up to visit you from New Orleans. The many years that I visited in Connecticut, and your house on Connecticut, and that black and white floor in front of the house. We traveled a lot. I remember, well, besides being in Atlanta visiting you too after Connecticut, the trip to London and ducking into red telephone boxes trying to call back home because it was the weekend that Katrina hit New Orleans. And here I was spending 3 days in London and Bath and having the time of my life. So I want to just say, let's see, thank you for always being there, for always helping my kids when they needed help, and for always taking care of my Dad and Mom too. I do really appreciate that, and it's a big burden off of me, so I always say thank you for that. Not that it's a burden, Mom, but that just knowing that she's here for everyday things. So thank you. And have another, I know you're halfway to 100, and so have another great 50 years. Happy anniversary.
I have, obviously I have tons and tons of memories of them. The one thing first I like to say is that, you know, I think that Mom and Dad both, probably one of the most important things they taught me was, I think, how to treat others and how to, I don't know, I think treat everyone else with respect and care for people. I think, you know, it's a special thing the way they treat everyone else and how much everyone else loves them. And so that's something that I think about all the time, is that I think I learned a lot from them about how to treat everyone we come into contact with, and try to make everyone else's lives a little better. Tons of memories, but I don't know, for some reason the one that comes to mind is my prom, and my junior year prom, and so we ended up we weren't sure where to go to eat, and so my parents said, well, you know what, we'll be your restaurant. And you know, my mom's a great cook, and it was with friends, and so we ended up having my mom as the chef, and we went, instead of going to a restaurant, we went to my house with a limo and everything. And of course my dad was the waiter, and my dad served us and took care of us while my mom was cooking. And so it's just kind of a funny thing, you know, looking back, I'm like, man, you know, not many high school kids would want to go do that and have, you know, would want to go out and spend a ton of money at some restaurant, but honestly, it was a lot of fun. And I think my parents cared a lot for my friends, and my friends cared a lot for my parents. You know, whenever we're in Connecticut, especially everyone, I remember my good friend Edgardo always feeling like he just felt like part of the family whenever he'd come over. And he found it always to be a welcoming home because of them and how they treated everyone. So that's it for me. Mom and Dad, I love you. Happy anniversary, and many more to come. Bye.
Okay, so I still remember the first time that I saw Mom. It was when we were freshmen in college. It was in the summer, and she was there in the library, and she was laughing and smiling, and I thought, wow, what a person. I had no idea that eventually we'd get married, but she was one of the most dynamic people I've ever met, and still is. So anyway, but she didn't want to have anything to do with me for the first 3 years in college. And then we had a mutual friend that invited us to kind of get together, that wanted to introduce us. Her name was Pam Long. And so the first time we went out, I sold her a ticket to a spaghetti dinner, and then I was on the football team and invited her afterwards to go to the football game and go to a dance afterwards. But it was wonderful, and like I said, I've told it several times, but the first time that I dropped her off at the dormitory, that's back when they had dorm hours, so I kissed her goodnight, but my mind was still so much on the football game that I turned around and patted her on the butt like you do when you break a huddle. Mom and I continued to go out all of our senior year in college. Then I went to a summer Slavic Institute in Indiana, University of Indiana, and Mom came out and visited. And by that we were talking about marriage. And so I said to her, you know, I want to get my doctorate, and maybe after I get my doctorate, we could get married. And Mom literally said, you know, that sounds wonderful, Tom, but it won't be to me, which meant that she wasn't ready to wait forever for me to come around. So it changed everything. So what happened then, I ended up getting drafted. I ended up having to go into the Army kind of at an uncertain time, what date it was. And that's when the Army ended up calling me just before our wedding and saying that we couldn't get married because I had to go into the Army. And fortunately, Mom's mom was on with an Army recruiter and got them to wait for a couple days. So, we ended up not having a honeymoon, but we had a wonderful time in Bangkok. You know, I just think back over the years and what a wonderful gift it is. And if there's one thing that I could wish, it would be for our own children, you, Mike, and Lisa, to have as many happy years as we have. Not that it's always easy, because it isn't. So, but anyway, we had a wonderful wedding too. It was on Long Island. It was on the reception was on the lawn of Mom's house. Grandma came up, Nona, and she didn't speak any English, and so she didn't really know what was going on. So apparently, my sister Rita later on told me about it, and she was really scandalized that the waiters were bringing these these tiny little sandwiches for hors d'oeuvres. She thought, you know, an Italian wedding, it goes on for like 3 days or 5 days or whatever, you don't bring little sandwiches. So anyway, she was kind of superstitious, so she decided she was going to give the waiters the evil eye, so maybe they'd bring her bigger sandwiches, but they never did. So finally they're going back and forth, and so eventually she says to my mother and to Rita and my dad, so gosh, what's going on? They are Italian, aren't they? And so Rita said, no, they're not. And so Grandma says, oh, okay, now I understand, it figures. So
Mom and I have had such a wonderful time together. It's just touching to commemorate it this way, and I'm really grateful for Micah for you recording it and just keeping some wonderful memories.
Well, Tom and I started dating in college, and he's probably already said that I wouldn't go out with him for 4 years because I was busy dating everybody else. He likes to say that it took me 4 years to get to the S's in the alphabet. So anyway, when we started dating, I remember our first date, I went to watch him play football, and then after the football game, we went out to dinner, and the tradition was at that time, it might have been homecoming, to give your date a giant chrysanthemum to wear. And I thought that was so impressive because it was so big and it was a surprise, and I love surprises. So he gave me that, and we went to dinner someplace, I'm not really sure where. So we had been dating for a while, and we were starting to get a little serious. And we graduated from college, from Beloit College, and then his plan was to go to Indiana University to a summer program in Russian. And I went home. I was going to get a job and work. And he invited me to come to Indiana University to visit. And I remember we were sitting on the lawn on the campus of Indiana University, and he said to me, "Do you think you'd like to get married?" And I said, "Well, sure, yeah, we could get married." But then he said, "Well, but I have to get my PhD first." Now, mind you, he only had his bachelor's degree at this point. And I, in my mind, thought, PhD, let's see, that's probably 6 years from now. And I thought, And I said, "Nope, you can marry me, but not waiting till you get your PhD. I'll marry somebody else instead and before you do that." So he was pretty surprised and said, "Well, let me think about that then." And went back and talked to his dad, and it was really his dad who was telling him, "You're not going to get married now. No, you have to finish your education." So that's how he proposed. And then we went back to Chicago to tell his family. And actually he came to New York to ask my dad if he could marry me. So that's how we got together. The rest is history. I just want to say that I am so grateful to my entire, to Tom, but also to my entire family. My children in particular, my sister as well, who have helped out so much in support with many things over the year, but in particular for this weekend, making it really a special weekend, a special 50th wedding anniversary. It's really important to me to have my family nearby. I miss them terribly when they're not here, and so when they're here, it's super special. So I'm just so grateful to every one of them, from my mom to my kids to my grandkids to my sister and her family, for making this weekend so special. Thank you.